Hi, this is Alex Blue with JTech. Today I'm going to show you how to do an inspection and adjustment on disc brakes, or drum brakes. So first you're going to have to take off your wheel and tire. We've already got the lug nuts loosened on this just to make it go by a little bit quicker. You're just going to go ahead and roll the wheel and tire out of the way. Alright, now this is your brake drum. We'll go ahead and just do an inspection while I've got it on here still. What happens is when you apply the brakes, you have, these are your shoes, or your linings and shoes. And what happens is when you hit the brakes, it pushes these forward, which makes contact in here and causes you to stop. So we'll go ahead and do our inspection on the brake drum. I'm going to go ahead and pull it off. Alright. So, just going to look inside of the drum first and see if you see any bluing or uneven wear marks, and then you're also going to do an inspection on the outside to make sure that you don't have any punctures or anything like that going through it, or it's dented up real bad. Next, we're going to check the diameter. Alright, and for the diameter, you're just going to measure in one spot. You're going to go from right about there all the way to this side. And your diameter should be between 15.5 to 16.5, so this is just within replacing. But if I was doing an inspection right now, I would go ahead and replace this drum since it is almost to 16.5 inches. Next, we're going to check and see if it's out around. So we're going to measure right here, just like you did before with the diameter. So it's 16.471, and then you're going to measure diagonally across like that, and you get 16.48. So what you would do is you would take those two numbers and you would subtract them, and then that would tell you if it's out around or not. Alright, so next we're going to measure the lining of the brake shoes. To do that, you're just going to use a normal tape measure, and you just want to measure. It does make it easier to go from right there, but so just so you can see it, you line it up at an inch right there, and what you're actually measuring is you're measuring from this metal piece right here to the top right here, and it should be, if it is less than 1/4 of an inch, so it's at 1/2 an inch right there, and then it's at 3/4 right there, and then you're going to also measure on the outside edge right here, because that's where you're going to have most of your wear. So there you go, you're at it. So you're at 1/4 of an inch, so these would need to be replaced. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to check down here. You're going to check your rollers, and if you see any like scarring on them or any cuts or anything like that, it's bent, it's dinged up real bad, you'd want to go ahead and replace those. And then next you're going to check in here. You have your retainer springs, and those keep the 2 shoes held together. So just to check, you're just going to see, yeah, it's kind of loose, but it's not, it doesn't have a whole lot of play in it when you try to go up and down, so they might need to be replaced, but I would leave that right now. I mean, it's not going to be too expensive to replace, but I would ask the customer if they would want them just to be replaced, because there's not a whole lot of play in it. It just moves back and forth because it is a spring. There's nothing behind there. All right, and now I'm going to do a brake adjustment. I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to go ahead and put the drum back on, and I'll be right back with y'all. All right, we've got our wheel and tire back on and our brake drum. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the brake adjustment. And to do a brake adjustment, you're going to, it is a 12mm socket. On the back side, this here is your slack adjuster. And on the back side of the slack adjuster, there's a little bolt head that you're going to turn until you make contact with the drum. All right. Alright, now once you've made contact with the drum, you're going to go just 1/2 a turn back. So there's 1/4, and there's 1/2 right there. So there you go. Now that is how you do a brake adjustment and inspection.